A very good morning to all of you, my dear students. Welcome back to the class once again, and welcome back to the YouTube channel. Let's learn together. Also, we were discussing the chapter, the Mughal Empire, and we are close towards the end of the chapter. And today we have to discuss about the Mansabdars and the Jagirdars, which we will continue from our next previous classes. Okay. So we were discussing about its features. Let us see what are the features of these Mansabdars and Jagirdars. है ना? As you can see, many Jagirdars, they try to extract as much revenue. Extract means to get as much income as possible by forcing the peasants. Means they have to, if they have to collect 1,000 rupees tax, then they were trying to collect more than that also, so that they can those Jagirdars can become rich, rich and rich. So always they were very greedy, they were greedy to get a lot of amount from those peasants, poor peasants, that might be. So thus, though you can see, if someone will force them to pay a lot of money in the form of tax, or if they will be forced to pay a lot of money, then the peasants, they were suffering. They were, and the Jagirdari crisis brought out the fall of the mighty Mughal Empire. Mighty means very powerful. Mughal Empire was there, but revolt. The peasants were suffering, and this Jagirdari system that bring out one of the fall, one of the reason for falling of this Mughal Empire also. Because in any empire, if the peasants will not be happy, they would not be able to pay the taxes to the government, to the empire. And if the Mughal Empire will not get, or any empire will not get sufficient tax amount, then they would be not able to maintain large army also, and eventually their empire will fall down. So if really, if any empire want to become success, want to stay there, want to maintain the government, then they will have to make these peasants very happy. The peasants should be happy, the farmers should be happy, the lower class people should be happy. Let us see, according to the Mansabdari system, we are going to have a small example over here. Every officer was given a Mansab, or you can say every officer was given a rank. Like you all also get a rank in your examination, first, second, third, fourth, like that. So every officer in this Mansabdari system was getting a rank, or you can say Mansab also. A 5 Hazari means 5,000 rank. So if a particular Mansabdar is having a rank of 5,000, means it means that he had to maintain 5,000 troops also. 5,000 troops means a soldier of 5,000 soldiers. You have to maintain that also. 5 Hazari Mansabdar. It means that he will have to maintain 5,000 troops as well. As you can see, a Mansabdar had to supply to the king the fixed number of troops whenever needed at the time of war. So whenever the king will call that particular number of troops, 5,000 troops should be held, come there to help the king in the war, then that particular Mansab along with those 5,000 troops will have to come and help the king in the war. And that is why those 5,000 troops along with the Mansabdar will have are getting paid also from the government. The Mansabdars were paid through Jagirs. Now they have been given Jagirs, means a lot of land, they have been given land to maintain, and a particular area they have been given to maintain and collect taxes. The Jagirs were allotted according to the rank of the Mansab. So if the rank of the Mansab is 5,000, he will have to maintain 5,000 troops. Also according to that particular rank, 5,000, 6,000, 10,000, whatever, the Jagirs are allotted. Jagirs means what? That he was granted land and not cash. They are not given cash, they are given land, and they will have to give those land to the farmers, and the farmers will pay the tax to those particular Jagirdars, or you can say Mansabs, and then the salary will be paid to the troops, to the soldiers, where they will spend their amount. A Mansabdar could be shifted from one place to another. So their post was fixed, but their place was not fixed. They can be shifted from Delhi to Agra, from Agra to West Bengal, anywhere they can be shifted. So this prevented him from becoming too much powerful. So yes, that is one of the way to make them weak also from the Mughal emperors. And they were knowing that if a particular Mansibdar will stay at a particular place for a long time, then he will have a lot of resources, a lot of sources he will have, and then he will become too much powerful, and they can revolt at any time. So So that is the one thing, that is the main reason why these mansabdars were shifted from place to place from time to time. So let's continue to the next slide. Administrative policies of the Mughal Empire. Let us see, we were doing this one. So generally a person who was appointed at low rank, he was gradually promoted according to the services he provided. So likewise also in a school also a teacher can become the principal of that school, but he will have to give good service to the school management, and they will see that yes, this teacher is very good, giving a lot of services, then he can be, his rank can be increased. Teacher can become coordinator, coordinator can become vice principal, vice principal can become principal. So likewise in this system also, mansabdari system also, generally a person who was appointed, they are not given high rank. First of all, they used to get the low rank, and when they provide good services to the king used to see his services, then his rank is increased further. So it takes time to become a very high rank employee, high rank, right, to get high rank. So it will take a lot of time. In addition to soldiers and horses, a fixed number of elephants, camels had also been maintained by the Mansabdar. So Mansabdar will have to handle, or you can say maintain, all these soldiers, horses, elephants and camels, and they are given that you will have to maintain this much horses, 500, 100 horses, 5,000 soldiers, and 200 elephants, 200 camels, like this. So they have to maintain that particular fixed number of particular things, soldiers, horses, elephants and camels, and which are fixed by the emperor. The mansab was not hereditary also, means it doesn't mean that if a particular man is mansabdar and if he will die, then his son will become the next mansabdar. It is not hereditary. So a mansabdar will only get this position from the lower rank. He will have to join the Mughal emperor from the lower rank, and then only he can get up to that particular post. When a mansabdar died, his jagir could not be taken back and allotted to someone else also. So it is clearly mentioned. You can see when a Mansabdar died, his Jagir could be taken back. So the emperor can take back the Jagir or the land that have been allotted to particular Mansabdar, and those land can be given to someone else. And it is not necessary that only his son will get all that particular Jagir. It was not compulsory. So whenever a Mansabdar will die, his Jagir could be taken back. So let us move ahead. You can see Jat ranking here over here. Mansab means a rank or a position. So be clear. Mansab means what? A rank or a position. In Akbar ranks, there were around 29 Mansabdars with Izzat of 5,000. 29 Mansabdars, Izzat of 5,000. Means 5,000, if he has having a rank of 5,000, Izzat 5,000. The nobles of this Jat held the highest rank and were above those of 1,000 Jat. Okay, those who were having 1,000 Jat, it means that they are having less rank. 5,000 means more rank, more responsibilities, even more salaries also. But you can see over here, in Aurangzeb time, the number of nobles holding a mansab of 5,000 Jat had increased to 79. You can see while when Akbar was ruling, there was only 29. But in Aurangzeb reigns time, it was 79. So 50 Mansabdars had increased at the time of Aurangzeb, and that is the reason they were taking a lot of amount of money, a lot of money from the empire in the form of salaries. 5,000 means 5,000 salaries they were getting at that time, and 79 Mansabdars were there. So that is also one of the reason for the decline of the Mughal empire during the time of Aurangzeb also. So it can give us a fair idea that how the expenditure of the state also increased with their number. So whenever the Mansabdar will increase, that they will also, it will be also increased, their salary will be increased, their expenditure will also be increased. Okay, let us see the next thing. That is information over here. Okay, Mughal Emperor Jahangir prohibited the use of tobacco in his court, so no one can take tobacco. That is the information that we are getting. Emperor Jahangir prohibited the use of tobacco in his court. Mirza Ghalib was a contemporary of the Mughal Emperor Bahadur Shah Jafar. So Mirza Ghalib was a poet, and he was writing a lot of poems at the time of Bahadur Shah Zafar. Hindu poet Jagannath Pandit Raj was the most favorite poet of the Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan. So Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan was having a favorite poet named as Jagannath Pandit Raj. Mughal Emperor Humayun spent 12 years in exile after he lost his kingdom in Hindustan. So when Humayun lost the battle, he had to stay away from Hindustan and he was wandering here and there for almost 12 years. Mughal Emperor Akbar took measures against the practice of sati. And you know the meaning of sati means when a husband die, then his wife will have to be burnt in that pyres of wood also along with the husband. So people used to burn that particular wife of that husband alive. That is quite painful, my dear students. So Emperor Akbar took measures against that sati system, and he stopped, he abolished that system when he was ruling in India. Let us see. There are many Hindu mothers of Muslim rulers also. Yes, Muslim rulers are having mothers are Hindu mothers. The mother of Jahangir was Kachawa princess, daughter of the Rajput ruler of Amber, Jaipur. So Jahangir's mother was a Hindu mother. The mother of Shah Jahan was a Rathore princess, daughter of the Rajput ruler of Marwar, Jodhpur. So even Shah Jahan was having a Hindu mother, and even Jahangir was also having a Hindu mother. So these are the facts that I am sharing with you, my dear students. So I think that is the end of the class because you have to attend another classes also. There is a case study that we will continue tomorrow. Okay, that's all in this class, my dear students. Bye bye. Take care.